Good evening, everyone. Good afternoon in Los Angeles. It is MSTR Mondays, episode 17. I want to talk about something that I think is not talked about enough, and it could be really, really big for MSTR, and so big for MSTR that it could be um, a game changer for Bitcoin itself. So first off, it's April 21st. The price of Bitcoin is 87,500. Today, MSTR has been up a tiny bit. Strife also been up, which is what I want to talk about today, which is their straight fixed income product. Why? Pardon me. Maybe I should put that scarf properly, even though it's nice weather here in LA. But where was I? Yes, Strike has been down a little bit. So that's the fixed income product that has a perpetual call option. So it has some of the upside of Bitcoin by having the upside of MSTR. But yeah, let me dive into it and not beat around the bush too much. So MSTR is now finally with Strife really accessing the big capital markets, really big. Strife is their preferred income product that targets $300 trillion worth of bonds on the global market. I remember I think it was the very first MSTR Mondays that I did back, obviously on a Tuesday, I think it was late October, and I believe I had Jeff on, Ponder Jeff, and Raekwon, and also maybe Ben. I don't know if he was in that one or some later ones, but I remember very early on when I started this series, which was just before they came out with their historic Q3 earnings call, where Saylor laid out the whole game plan and the different products that they have developed, like the convertible bonds and the ATM on the stock, and then later Strike and Stripe came. But anyways, back then I remember asking the gentlemen who are really smart on MSTR and the financial markets and how MSTR can use it. If the convertible bonds, because that was really starting to happen back then in what was it, late in October and late September back then. If that meant that MSTR now can, with the convertible bonds, okay, it's a bond, does that actually allow them to attract capital from that $300 trillion bond market that is so significant, and most Bitcoiners believe that Bitcoin eventually will suck a lot of the value out of that, because Bitcoin is just such a much better store of value than a bond, which is just diluting in value as they keep printing more dollars, especially with something like COVID happening and all the, I think it was 20% in no time that decided to expand the money supply within US. And it's where was I? I think I need to get, okay. I'm a little bit winded today because I started a fast Saturday evening. So I didn't eat Sunday, I didn't eat Monday, and I'll start eating tomorrow. And basically I'm doing this because of the health benefits of what just happened there. The health benefits of, let me get the chat in so I can see it. Plan Marcus found the red balloon. The health benefits of fasting, which especially to me, what I'm going for is autophagy kicks in after like I think 36 hours, which resets the immune system and cleans up broken cells, damaged cells, etc. So it's cancer preventive, and I'd like that. That's why I'm doing this. I don't know, 60 hours fast. That's why I may be a little bit winded, lose my train of thought. If it goes terrible, I guess I won't be fasting on Mondays going forward. But so I remember that was my thoughts and my questions back then. Does the convertible bonds allow them to attract funds from the $300 trillion bond market? And none of us really knew, it was convertible bonds. How much does that attract? But we have since then learned that is not the case. The convertible bonds that Strategy is selling does not attack the $300 trillion bond market. Because only a smaller part, now I don't know how much, but a smaller part of that is allowing for convertibility. So then they came out with Strike. I believe Saylor announced Strike at the end of last year, and they started it in January. It was something along those lines, which is a fixed income product, which pays 8% dividend on the nominal stock. The nominal stock is $100. Today it has it's trading at 85. So it's like a 9.5% real yield on Strike. Now the advantage with Strike, it is 10 of those convert into one MSTR stock. I'm not sure exactly how that's going to play out when MSTR goes high enough. But essentially, when MSTR, which right now is $317, once that passes 850, which I absolutely do believe it will happen this year, and none of what I say is financial advice, it's financial entertainment and education, if at best. But if you do like the education or the entertainment, feel free to subscribe and share with someone you think could find it interesting, obviously. But Strike was the first real fixed income product for the market. They launched with a yield of almost 10%, definitely above 9. Actually, I can just have a look at what is the real yield right now on Strike, and that is on MSTR's website. I'll show that afterwards. It's 9.4%. So 9.4% on a bond with this upward convertibility to the stock MSTR, I think is something I personally will be using when I set capital gain tax aside on a specific account for paying taxes. I see that I could use something like Strike. It's not. I doubt it's going to lose, if any, a lot of USD value. Instead, it'll pay this real yield right now of more than 9%, and it has the upside. So 10 Strike shares can convert to one MSTR stock, which will make sense when MSTR goes above 850. And how exactly it's going to look like then when MSTR goes above that, I'm not 100% sure, but I guess at least it puts a significant floor under the price of Strike, which again allows them to hit the ATM on Strike and keep selling more stock to raise more funds for accretive equity issuance, which means just buying a lot more Bitcoin and adding more Bitcoin per share. Essentially, there'll be more Bitcoin per share of MSTR as a result of all of these financial moves that MSTR does, ATM in the common stock, the convertible bonds, and Strike. But again, Strike does not, yes, Beardy, beer today. That is exactly what I'm going for with the fasting. So bear with me. It's been a while, close to, I don't know, 45 hours, I think, since I last ate. But autophagy is what I want to do. Or I hope my body's taken care of now. Autopilot, hopefully. Um, um, so what really became exciting, I think, or very, very potentially game changing, not only for MSTR, but potentially for Bitcoin itself. And that's why I made this video, because I could see that Strife, which is a straight up fixed income product, it's straight up only a bond. It does not have any of the MSTR upside. It doesn't convert to anything. But on the contrary, it has an effective yield. So the price of Strife is $90. It's gone up today while Strike went down, and that tells me that I mean, it suggests that maybe they've been hitting the ATM on the Strike today, while Strife, they cannot yet do that, because you need to reach a certain volume of trading before they can start the ATM. I think it took a couple of weeks with Strike before they could do that. Now, I believe Strife still they can't do it, but it's straight up yielding effectively 11.1%, which is quite massively. And why is Strife so phenomenally interesting for MSTR, and I think for all Bitcoiners really, and Bitcoin in general? It's because finally there is a product from MSTR that targets this $300 trillion global bond market with an interest rate right now of 11.1% in real yield. That is phenomenal. So that's something that I very much want to keep my eyes on. And if we just start, and then I want to just take you guys through the strategy website, or a little bit of it. So wait, so let's see. Boom, there we go. So on Strategy's website, MSTR's website, which is strategy.com, you can see a lot of really cool financial information for investors in terms of the stock price, the market cap, the returns, the price of Bitcoin, how much debt they have, and debt as a percentage, etc. Volatility, all of that good stuff. Now, I want to take you on to Strike. So what we're looking at now, as you can see up in the left-hand corner here, you can click and get to the different products, basically the three different, correct me if I'm wrong, listings they have, trading ticker symbols, tradable products, where now I've moved on to Strike. So Strike, if you see top left, is trading at $85. It's a little bit down today, even though Strife, the other fixed income product, is up a little bit. So maybe they're hitting the ATM here. The notional, if you go down one step on the left side, you see the notional value of Strike that are outstanding is $774 million. I believe they started with 750, or maybe it was 700 million. But bottom line is, as we saw the announcement from Saylor this week, they haven't really been able to, I presume, hit the ATM so hard here yet. The last week, I mean, Saylor just announced today that I think it was 6,000 or 8,000 more Bitcoin that they have purchased, which is great. But most of that came from ATM on the common stock and not on Strike. But they did do some ATM there. So interesting to see how that develops. And as you can see, if you go down 3 down, 2 2 from the left, the effective yield now is 9.4% on strike, and that means all right, let me move that one. That means you get 9.4% return as a fixed income in dollars, but you have that upside on 10 strike can convert to 1 MSTR, which will be interesting once MSTR has gone from the current 317 to 850. But the really important is, and now let's go have a look at Strife. In my opinion, the really, really interesting, and the reason why I made it the topic of this this show today, this MSTR Monday, episode 17. What you see here, top left, is the Strife price went up a little bit. It went up $1.70. It's trading at $90. It has a nominal yield on the $100 value of the stock or bond of 10, and that makes the effective yield 11.1%. Since it is trading below $100, the effective yield goes up. So you're getting 11%, but the 0.1, but there's no relation otherwise to Bitcoin exposure, to MSTI exposure. So personally, I think I would, when I want to have some money that I put aside for tax payments or whatever, would go down a little bit on the real yield, effective yield, from 11.1 to 9.4. Wasn't it 9.4? Let me just hit back on strike. Yes, it's 9.4. I don't mind dropping that little bit and then have the upside of converting to MSTR, even though it's far out of the money. That does make it interesting, I would say. But what we see here from the top left, one down, you see in the second row, notional 850. So $850 million is what Strife was launched with as a size. That was the amount of outstanding Strife nominal value or notional value. And I believe that the thing is, I'll get to the chat in a little bit. I'll switch up the share screen, go have a look at the chat as well, and see if there's any input or questions, anything there. But what is super, super interesting here is right now, MSTR has when you look at the actual price, it's a $766 million product targeting a $300 trillion, right? So it's not only what does that become? It's not only it's not only 400x to get to 300 billion. It is 400,000x to get to the $300 trillion global bond market. So the point is that there's a lot of upside here. Strife is first in the capitalist stack, which means if MSTR should face bankruptcy, and remember, by the way, that none of the Bitcoin are encumbered, which means the Bitcoin are secured in terms of they are with MSTR themselves. They can't be stopped out. There's no Bitcoin price that will touch the Bitcoin that they have on the balance sheet. But in case of bankruptcy, anything like that, which fixed income product buyers would think about, well, how safe is my bond here? And if you're first in the stack, it is the most secure. You're first in line to get a payout, which means the price of Bitcoin would have to be really, really ridiculously low for the Strife holders ever to be not getting a full payout in case of something bad happening, which is, I think, unlikely to happen. I want to just repeat what I've said a couple of times because I think it's really important. I think MSTR as an investment is that very rare combination of, in my opinion, nothing is financial advice, a very high level of safety in the investment. Like, I expect this to play out with a very high degree of certainty. I don't know if it should be, we should say 95% plus. Honestly, I think it's closer to 100. But I consider it a very safe investment. At the same time as what we're looking at with MSTR is, I think, realistically expected incredible returns. It's been the best performing asset in the world since they started this approach. I think it was August 2020, so short of 5 years. It's been the best performing asset, outperforming Bitcoin itself. Why? Well, because it's a leveraged product, and Strife is part of that. So I guess to the point I'm really trying to make, that I find the most important here, is that Strife is an MSTR product. It's fixed income, and they're borrowing money significantly cheaper than what Bitcoin on average over time goes up in value. And for the first time ever, that question I had for the Quant Bros, and I think Ben as well, on one of the very first shows I did back in late September or early October, when it was, does MSTR have something for the entire $300 trillion global bond market? And we didn't really know, but at the time, with the convertible bonds, and because they were bonds, I thought, well, does that mean they can attract that big market and target it? But no, convertible bonds is only a smaller part of it. But this now is a product that yields 11.1%, significantly significantly higher than I guess most bonds out there. Quite safe, if not very safe, because of its placement in the capital stack and first in line if any issues. And it's very accretive for MSTR to sell Strife. It is the most accretive product. It's probably, I mean, ballpark numbers, I would say, and this is just top of the head math done live, and not something to be counted on as like, please do verify and check it out if anyone has specific numbers. But I could see this be accretive in the ballpark of 80% of funds raised here going, well, all of it will be buying Bitcoin. So probably even more than 80%, since none of it is ever going over to the only thing there is they have to pay the interest rate, right? But it's super accretive for MSTR. They can't ATM it yet. I want to really keep an eye on this $850 million nominal market of the Strife, and see how does that giant global fixed income market pick up. Will they start buying Strife? Will they do it at volume? Is it going to be a little bit faster than Stripe currently is pulling off? But essentially, that could grow into the trillions, and that's a big growth from where it is now. Saylor said he targets 1% of the $300 trillion global market, but that's only 3 trillion. I think it would be logic if it grows to more than that, but I think it's fair to announce you have an ambition to increase it by 4,000x. I guess otherwise some people maybe just lose their mind. So he's saying he wants to go after 3 trillion, which is what, more than 50% more of the total market cap of Bitcoin right now. Is probably bullish enough to satisfy most people, but I think that can and should go higher. Now, my point is, let me just get rid of that. I think we're done looking at those numbers. My point is that the other products of MSTR, the convertible bonds, Strike, now they all have this element of, hey, we need the price of MSTR to go up, which means we need the price of Bitcoin to go up before the upside is in those products. Strife is super exciting because not only does it target the $300 trillion global bond market, also it has nothing to do with the price of Bitcoin or the price of the MSTR shares themselves. People buying this product will only look at, well, is my money secure? Well, you're first in the capital stack. It's nothing is 100%, but I would say it's very highly secure. Nothing is financial advice from my side. It's only entertainment and education at their best, or slash information. But they're targeting that giant market at the same time with what I consider to be a really attractive product for the bond buyers, the fixed income buyers. And it's got nothing to do with the price of Bitcoin. The price of Bitcoin does not matter for this product, which means, like, I have been a believer of the 4-year halving cycle in Bitcoin, the 4-year price cycle, of which right now should be a phenomenal bull run year, which I still think we will have. The tariffs are creating a lot of uncertainty and has given us this correction. But don't forget, all of these bull runs, they have big corrections of 30% plus, and that's all we saw this time. We saw a more than 30% plus correction in the price of Bitcoin. I believe we were at $108,000 per Bitcoin. Then we went down to 75, and now we're tracking at around, let's just take a quick peek, 87,600. So it's really just business as usual. I do believe that this market, Bitcoin, will take off. I believe it will be a phenomenal year for Bitcoin, and therefore also for Klein Marcus. I see your comment here. I love it. And well, you know what? Instead of getting to it later, no, I'll get to this later. I love it. Absolutely, and that is still the case. So don't be don't worry about that one. I'll happily explain. But let's say that this cycle is intact, which it is till this day. There's not, like, the 4-year cycle is not broken yet. So far we have to consider that that's a possibility, that a peak of this cycle, which bottomed out in November 22 at $15,600 per Bitcoin, that it is a likelihood that the price of Bitcoin will peak in the ballpark of October this year. It can come before, it can come after, and maybe there is no more bear market. So you know, it's something that we're just talking about. I'm not telling anyone to do what to do, and don't do it. Like, you got to do your own research and all of that. But let's say in a situation where the market follows the 4-year cycle, and then Bitcoin wants to have a blow up top in October, and who knows what that will be. Will it be the 250, 300, or as Josh Mandel, the prophet, I think he said $444,000 per Bitcoin. I don't know. We'll see. But I believe we'll be in the hundreds of thousands, at least 250,000 by October. You never know. But that's just my personal belief. Now, this is where I think Strife is really, really important, and we need to well, I don't know, get this point through and think about it and consider the importance of, let's say there's this blow off top. Bitcoin blows off at let's just say $400,000, whatever, it doesn't matter. Blow off top, doesn't matter what level. And then the normal reaction would be, and that's what happens every time, that in that 3rd and 4th year of the cycle, where the price starts to move up significantly, which it did last year, Bitcoin did 2.5x approximately last year. MSTR did 6.5x, which is why a lot of people do find it interesting. On that note, I want to say that, as I've said before, I know Saylor says that he wants MSTR to move 1.5x of what Bitcoin moves, or 1.3 is, and I can't remember it actually. Haven't seen it in a while, but that doesn't mean forever. You can't say that without talking about a time period. Now, if you mean like on a daily basis, which I presume is what he's thinking, or a monthly basis, with compound interest, that difference get bigger, right? For instance, let's say that there's 2 years in a row, like last year, where Bitcoin did 2.5x, MSTR did 6.5x. Those are ballpark numbers, and it might be from mid-January to mid-January. I can't remember when it did the calculation. If there's 2 years in a row like that, so what does that do to Bitcoin? Bitcoin goes 2.5 times 2.5. Bitcoin goes up then over that 2-year period by 6.25. Now, if MSTR does 6.5x twice in that period, that means it's up 42x. So compound interest and over time makes a big difference. That's why when we talk about how fast does MSTR move in both directions compared to the price of Bitcoin, the time period is really crucial. I think last year is a good and maybe likely way it also can play out in the future, in terms of how MSTR does overall compared to Bitcoin on a grander scale. But again, you start adding more years, and then you have the compound interest, and all of a sudden it really matters. So that was on that. Again, back to my main point. So let's say we have the $400,000 blow off top in October, or 444, as Just Mandel says. And then, what I was on about is, so that in second and the third and the fourth year of the cycle, which would mean 24 and 25, where Bitcoin starts moving more up significantly, and especially in the last year, quite significantly. Typically, a bull run gets steeper and steeper. That's what we've seen historically. 2016, 17 is a beautiful graph to look at, and not like 21. That was not a fun bull market. That stayed out. But what happens is, because the price moves faster, people get into Bitcoin not for the monetary revolution or what it will do for humanity, or all these things. It is the price that becomes the main marketing point. It's number go up technology that really attracts Bitcoin, which means a larger and larger percent of the current people buying are just in it for the dollars. They're in it for the percentage gains in dollars, and that's what draws them in. And as that percentage grows, that is needle for the balloon to pop, or the bull market to pop, because as I said earlier on, there is continuously just looked at a chat. I'll get back to it. There's continuously corrections throughout a bull market, but when you have a high enough percentage of people that are just in it for the money, they don't know what they bought, they're just, I'll make dollars, then those 15, 20, 30% corrections now means that the people that panic, which only are the people that don't know what they bought. If you studied what you bought, I have several friends that got into Bitcoin in 21, near the price of the peak, and but they studied what they bought, so they didn't sell when it crashed. There was no weak hands, there was no salad hands, no paper hands, only diamond hands. But most people have not studied what this Bitcoin thing is when they buy it based on price go up. So those normal correction of 15-20% all of a sudden starts to become self-enforcing when panic sets in. And there's two things in general, two emotions that drive all financial decisions human beings they make, and that is greed and fear. So very much greed, buying because number go up, and then the fear sets in if you don't know what you bought, if you don't understand the long-term outlook of Bitcoin going not only to $20 million, but eventually also to $1 billion a piece. Not financial advice, but it's and then add productivity gains on top. It's like one Bitcoin is going to be ridiculous. Like you'll be flying your own jet. In my opinion, maybe end of this century. I don't know. But oh, where was I? It's the brain fog from the fasting. So, all right, I'm back on track. Didn't lose it. Back on track. Need coffee. So let's say that normal correction, like that blow off top happens. Bitcoin goes to 444, and then it just starts tanking, and then there's always some fake outs where the price corrects and people think, oh yeah, it's going to be fine, and the price is going up, but then that falters, and again the price just keeps crashing, and we've seen in those 4-year cycles, I believe the very first blow off after 2011, Bitcoin dropped 95%. And then when you go back and look at those cycle peaks, each time it's gone down, it's really gone something like 95% down, 90% down, 85%, 80% down. Can't remember the last one exactly, but I'll be looking into that. But because it does, as the market matures, new people come in, it's more spread out, people are more educated. The concept of Bitcoin, best money, perfect money we've ever, closest to perfect money we've ever seen, means that these insane bear markets become a little less insane. My point is that when MSTR has a product like Strife that is targeting for the first time ever a $300 trillion global bond market, if they can start, if that product, if Strife starts to really kick up in the fixed income market, and bit by bit, billion right now, as I said, it's 850 billion nominal in Strife, which with the current price makes it 766 million, only million, not even billion. Well, okay, that would be a lot. It's very small, but once billion after billion of that bond market that is so large starts trickling in, and remember, it does not care about the price of Bitcoin. It does not care about the price of MSTR. They don't look at the volatility of MSTR. They're not there to arbitrage, as far as I understand, anything to do with that. They're straight up looking for a better yield than US Treasuries and other company bonds. And in a situation where we have this blow off top, let's say from the 444,000, if that was to happen, let's say maybe in October, and the price starts going down, it's quickly down below 400 and then 350, and people panic. But this is unlike other bear markets where there was not something like this. What MSTR will have now in this potential bear market of 2026, if the cycle is intact, and we don't know, everything will be clear in hindsight. We don't know yet. We're just talking possibilities. If Strife becomes really successful for MSTR, which I think there's a good chance that it will, and they start just raking in through the ATM billions of dollars, potentially on a weekly basis. It's 300 trillion globally that they're targeting. So So who knows? It could be billions a week. That level of buying, which again are from people that don't care about the price of Bitcoin, don't care about the price of MSTR. It's straight up just a better bond product, likely, and will take liquidity from that giant market. If they can, that will make MSTR able to buy insane amount of Bitcoins continuously, day after day, week after week, throughout what should have been the 2026 bear market. And I think that would put potentially, do I think it will happen? I don't know yet. We got to look at again, let me just real quick. We got to look at this notional $850 million and see, once they have had enough trading volume so they can start the ATM. I will be looking at that at least weekly, if not daily, to see how much funds they're able to raise from selling more Strife at the market ATM. And I think that there is a real chance that might remove the size and violence of the correction from above 400, that it might prevent some of the paper hands, the weak hands, the salad hands. It might put so much of a price, a buying support on the Bitcoin itself, that some of the weak hands will stay around and grow conviction. It might be so much buying that we don't have that bear market. So that's the bottom line, the point I wanted to get to with this video, that Strife for the first time enables it's for the first time that we have a channel. Wait, what was the word I used before when I was in Blake? I was in your in your group. Shout out Blake, you're awesome, dude. It's the first time ever in the world that there will be a direct, like most Bitcoiners agree that, well, the bond market is going to die because eventually they will want to hold Bitcoin. It's better. Totally. Yes, that will happen. But for the first time, there is now a pipeline directly from 300 trillion US dollars global bond market straight over to buying Bitcoin. Not that they have to make a decision, oh, we should own Bitcoin instead of bonds, because a lot of them, they can't. It's their charter. They have to buy bonds. And that's why this is so important, because it's the first time we've had a pipeline for $300 trillion to buy Strife, a fixed income and nothing else, a fixed income product from MSTR. When MSTR issues Strife to this $300 trillion market, then dollar for dollar, MSTR over here can start just put dollar for dollar into Bitcoin, increase the balance sheet of Bitcoin, which right now is at quick peak. It is at, where was it? That's typical when you want to do, 538,200 Bitcoin. MSTR has 538,200 Bitcoin. So this is super interesting, not only for MSTR shareholders, but for all Bitcoiners. If this Strife product takes off, the pipeline is there. If water starts flowing, that I think not only will be super beneficial to MSTR shareholders, really grow the amount of Bitcoin per MSTR share, but could create so much buying power on Bitcoin. Bitcoin has a market cap, I don't know where we are right now, but I believe it's less than 2 trillion. So if 300 trillion starts flowing significantly towards that, that's going to change significantly the market cap of Bitcoin. And I believe it is something like, I'm not, unlikely when I'm saying it right now in April 25, it's going to be the case, but it could theoretically be a product like Strife that will get to hyper-Bitcoinization no matter what. But it could be a product like Strife because that pipeline is created for 300 trillion to flow into Bitcoin. By giving them product that they want, that they're allowed to buy with that charter, that does well, it gives them 11.1% real yield. Like, great, this is a phenomenal bond. We're buying this bond, but that way it's flowing into Bitcoin. So I gotta, I think a product like Strife, if successful, which I believe it will be, it takes time for information knowledge to spread and for a market to start adopt a new behavior and a new product. But it could also go fast. And the question is, what does the growth in Strife share count, what does that look like as we go through this year? It's super exciting. I think close to the most important or exciting metric in MSTR right now, and you can find it all on strategy.com, their website. But that could change the needle, and if it's very significant, not only is this bull run going to be a glorious bull run once like uncertainty of tariffs and trade and all that disappear, but it could take us maybe higher, and it could generate that, because Strife as a product has nothing to do. They don't care about the price of Bitcoin. Those billions might just keep trickling in, even though that normal panic of a bear market and weekend selling, that doesn't affect the bond buyers. They'll still buy Strife if they like the product, if they like 11.1% real yield. So that will be significant buying, completely unrelated to the fact that a lot of Bitcoiners experience panic and fear. I really think that Strife is going to be a game changer. I think it could be the one product that could help Bitcoin to reach to hyper-Bitcoinization. And that's also why, I think that MSTR not only is a great investment. Personally, that's my personal opinion, not financial advice, but I think it's also I absolutely believe MSTR is hugely positive for Bitcoin in terms of assisting us get to the point where fiat currency can no longer exist. We get hyper-Bitcoinization. It takes over all that store of value and probably will start taking over medium of exchange as well. And then fiat currency like the dollar will go off and die, so that good money can take over the wonderful money of Bitcoin, which can't be diluted from central side when they want to run deficits, want to run fraud, want to send money to the military industrial complex or big pharma or whatever. So yeah, that's I'll go have a look at the chat now. I can see, unfortunately, Plan Marcus had to leave. He had a couple of comments there I want to look at. Yeah, Strife could be the game changer, I think. And it's going to be exciting to see the volume that they're able to ATM, how much can they raise with Strife, and then look at how that is potentially enough buying that is unrelated to the price of Bitcoin goes down. Because usually price goes up, it draws in people. Price goes down, people are afraid, no new people come in because they're like, I ain't buying that, it just dropped. And when it's back up, I'm buying that because it's going up. And that's the common mistake people make. But it could drive significantly of billions of dollars of buying spot Bitcoin, putting it on the balance sheet of MSTR, even though the price is crashing. I think that might just change the bear market. I'm such an optimist always. So I if I should take a guess, I think this could be Strife could be a game changer. I haven't said too much then, but it could change things, and it'll be to see what happens during the year is what's going to be exciting. All right, gonna check a peek at the chat. All right, let's see what up there. All right, what up, Benny? Also, Bobby Badapping. Think of this strike in batches of 10 shares. You're getting an eternal prepaid call option on MSTR at 800 with an $8 share dividend. That is correct. Another one here from Bobby. I don't understand why Strike isn't worth more than MSTR. Well, it's a fixed income product where if I just go back and look at the strategy website, I go look at Strike. It on $100 nominal value of Strike, which right now is trading for $85, they pay an 8% dividend. So they pay $8 per share, but because the share trades at 85, the effective yield is 9.4%. So it's a fixed income product, and it does not convert to MSTR. Well, since you need 10 Strike to convert to one MSTR, then MSTR has to be above $850, and right now is sitting at 317. So that's why it's not worth more than MSTR. Why didn't Strike dilute the MSTR? Strike does dilute MSTR because of this call options, but the normal ATM on this stock is selling just more MSTR in the market at 317, which is accretive dilution. Every single move puts more Bitcoin behind each stock of MSTR. But when they're selling Strike, yes, they have to pay a dividend, but that's small compared to what they're making in Bitcoin returns. They can pay that dividend, by the way, also in MSTR stock, I believe. Do verify, please. But where MSTR is dilutive, if they go in the market and sell it as they've done last week at the market price at 317 right now, then Strike doesn't dilute on it's Strike is like selling MSTR but at 850 because you need 10 of them. So that's why it's way more accretive. So it does dilute, but not to the same extent compared to what it brings in cash for buying Bitcoin. All right, let me have a stab at this one also, Bobby. Thank you for the questions. What does MSTR get you that Strike doesn't? I think stocks are just brands and people are just buying a brand name. I mean, I would say no. I mean, yes, stocks are brands, but it's what you're buying when you're buying MSTR, you're buying the common stock. This is the people and the interest group that Saylor is working for. He's working for the shareholders, as he should, when he is running that company effectively. He is there to create value for MSTR shareholders. Now, Strike and Strife and convertible bonds creates values to interest group outside of MSTR, outside of MSTR shareholders. So he's offering products to them because it is in the interest of MSTR. So when Saylor creates these products, like for instance the Strike, there is let's say he sells $100 million worth of Strike at the market. I believe they sold 25 million last week. Let's say they send 100 million. That 100 million is going to go straight into buying Bitcoin, which benefits the MSTR shareholders. The Strike holders still just have that dividend. Sure, it's going to help pump the price of MSTR, which then in the end, because it's a long out of the money call option, the Strike equity. Not sure if you call it a share or a bond, but let's call it equity. then the main benefit of that goes to the MSTR shareholders. So any of these other products, Sailor Strategy has launched, it basically he removes some of the volatility. So these products are targeted and are more attractive than Bitcoin itself or MSTR itself to certain pools of the capital market, a capital market that is hundreds and trillions. The bonds themselves, 300, and then there's more than that. There's derivatives and everything. So these products, convertible bonds, Strife, have less volatility. They have less downside. They're guaranteed by MSTR to be paid their dividends, their interest, and get their fiat loan to MSTR back completely. That is the guarantee MSTR gives to them. They have less and less downside. Straight up Strife, they can just sit on it and return and get their yield, which not right now in real terms 11.1%, and sit and get that forever. That's great, good for them. But that arbitrage, that volatility to the upside, when you remove the volatility to the downside, you're also removing the volatility to the, like for Strife completely, for Strike less so, and that volatility for Bitcoin, which in general is up when you zoom out, benefits the MSTR shareholders so that they own a share that has more and more Bitcoin behind it, or more sats per equity, per stock, per share, whatever you guys like to call it. I've been corrected on that before. I'm not really sure what is 100% correct, but you know what I mean. That's what's important. All right. Some of that water with Celtic salt and lemon to a little bit of electrolytes in this fasting. Good stuff. Actually, one thing I think that is interesting and important, and that's a metric that I look at a lot, is what is the market cap of MSTR measured in Bitcoin? I think that's key, very key. And right now they hold, what is it, 538,000 Bitcoin, and the market cap of MSTR measured in Bitcoin, which to me is the only unit of account that has any long-term value. That's what matters to me. I measure everything in sats and Bitcoin. Of course, you got to look at dollars as well. I got bills to pay in dollars. Of course, it's relevant. But the market cap of MSTR today is 1.1 million Bitcoin. They have 538,000. Is it worth it? It's a premium of a little bit more than 2. I think it's 2.05. But they continue to generate more and more Bitcoin behind each share or equity stock, and that's why people are willing to pay a premium. But also the future value of the company, the future market cap, which I believe will be measured in Bitcoin, of MSTR, is based on 2 things, I believe. And one is straight up the amount of Bitcoin that they hold. And right now, that's very much what we are looking at, or most people are looking at. It's like they hold 538,000. Okay, the stock is a little bit more than double of that. But I personally believe there's a high likelihood that MSTR will end up holding at least 2.1 million Bitcoin, which is 10% of the outstanding ever to exist, and a lot has been lost. That's massive. And I think we'll see Strike and Strife hopefully kick in and help that happen. And so future, what is the value of the market cap? I think they'll be able to hold 2.1 million on the balance sheet. That's one part of the future value of MSTR. The other part is what kind of operating income can they generate from having the strongest by far asset balance sheet in the world. No one else. I think most of us today agree that that MSTR is for sure going to become the most valuable company in the world by far. And it's too late for the Max 7 or others to start stacking that amount of Bitcoin without really influencing price, which would just fuel MSTR's ability to buy more Bitcoin. Because I think it's really nice and impressive to see that in Q1, where Bitcoin has fallen, MSTR still grew the BTC yield, the amount of Bitcoin per stock, by 11%. I think that's great, because it is the price rise of Bitcoin, especially, that fuels the ability to buy more. So if we're just flatlining in Bitcoin and they keep stacking, good for us, good for MSTR, good for Bitcoin, good for humanity, good for everyone. But when the price starts to run, is when they really can, like we saw in Q4, where they generate 49% BTC yield, which was, I believe it was 49. It was phenomenal. I don't know if we'll ever see that again, maybe not, but that's a lot. But let's say they end up with that 2.1 million Bitcoin on the balance sheet. They'll be able to generate a yield by putting it out one way or another, putting it to use. You can always do that, like over collateralize, so it's super low risk. It's not where strategy is today at all. I don't know when they'll even start thinking about it. Will it be 10 years from now, 15? Will it be 2 years? I don't know. I'm sure Saylor will announce that in good time, so people that are not happy or liking that can change the allocation, whatever. But the company will be worth what their balance sheet is, plus some kind of evaluation on how much they're generating of income from having that balance sheet and putting in that to use. So I think eventually it's not without the realms of possibility that MSTR could have a market cap of 3 million Bitcoin, and right now it's 1.1 million. Do remember this though, that if the market cap of MSTR measured in Bitcoins doubles from 1.1 million, which it currently is, to 2.2 million Bitcoin, then that doesn't mean that your stock doubles, because all of it happens with accretive dilution. So some extent of that is naturally going to the new shareholders as shareholder count and is increased. But if you look at the different products they have, where the least dilutive is straight up ATM, fresh issuance off stock on the common stock, well, that's since it's trading at a premium of 2.05. Let me just get it's 2.05. Then that is quite accretive. But then when you go to the convertible bonds that they're selling at zero premium, there's no interest rate on those, and they convert to the stock at sometimes 35%. Sometimes I believe it was maxing back when there was more volatility in Q4 at 55%. So that's even more accretive. Instead of like doubling up, then you add on top of that another 35 to 55%, depending on what kind of premium they can get in the contracts, depending on the volatility of Bitcoin and the volatility, therefore, also of MSTR. But and also, let me just say cheers to 710 live viewers. Allow me just to get some more. So that's the thing, when you do a solo show, you end up talking a lot, and then you quit the drinking breaks, and you get thirsty. Allow me. Thank you. That one's unfortunately empty. Anyways, and then you go to something like Strike. Now that's again even more accretive than the convertible bonds, because they're priced at 85. So MSTR has to go to 800 50 because 10 of them converts to one MSTR. So MSTR has to, let's say, go up 2.5x, almost triple, but less, let's say 2.5x. So it's as accretive as the normal MSTR shares ATM, but times 2.5x approximately. However, minus the dividends that have to be paid along the way, but it's way more accretive. And then the product that I find super, super interesting, which is Strife itself, where there is no of the upside of MSTR that is given to the Strife holders. They're only getting a dividend, and that is really, really accretive. That really grows the Bitcoin per stock, per MSTR share. So again, super excited to see when can they start doing the ATM there, and when they do, how much ATM can that bond market take and still be interested and still be willing to pay a reasonable price for the Strife stock, which essentially is a straight up bond. I guess one of the most important tasks, maybe almost for strategy, is to convince these bond buyers, convince this $300 trillion global bond market that there is a bond over here yielding 11.1%. It's first in the capital stack, so it's highly secure. They're the first to be paid in case of any trouble. To convince that $300 trillion bond market that Strife is an attractive thing, they should buy that instead of other like U.S. Treasuries that are yielding 3-4% or other company bonds. And honestly, I would rather own a bond that is secured by Bitcoin than a U.S. Treasury that is secured by what? A $2 trillion yearly deficit on the government, which means, I mean, it's not good. The dollar is not in a great situation. The only way I think the U.S. government, either something extremely drastic have to happen, or they have to print. And shout out my good friend Lawrence Lepard, and the book he wrote, The Big Print. The big print, they would have to print a lot of dollars to pay for that deficit. And what does that mean? It means they can pay their debt, but what happens then is the dollar just even faster loses value, which is good for Bitcoin. So I'd rather definitely hold a Strife and get 11.1% than a US Treasury, and get much less, and honestly not be secured by Bitcoin. All right, I'm gonna go back and take a look at this. So these are now 50 minutes old, some of these comments, but I wanted to get through all of that. Now I'm going to have a further look. My old friend Plan Marcus, opium dealer. Yeah. If MSTR is after the 300 trillion, then what is Bitcoin after? Same. A great question. The thing is, MSTR creates a product, Strife, that the $300 trillion will be eating, so that an MSTR can buy Bitcoin. So you could say Bitcoin is equally getting that dollar for dollar. Maybe there's a little bit of loss on the way in terms of MSTR. Has expenses of running their business, I mean, I would agree. I know Plan Marcus, he bounced, he had to leave, but I would agree that essentially no one will want to hold Strife because it's denominated in dollar. In the end, with hyperbitcoinization, which I believe Strife in itself can play a very important, crucial role in killing the dollar. Strife is only a dollar product. It's only a dollar claim. So I think Strife actually is the biggest threat long term to Strife, because in the end, let's say, I don't know when that is, 30 years from now, nobody wants to hold a dollar denominated bond because it'll be close to worthless. But so therefore, yeah, is Bitcoin is after all of it. Bitcoin is after the entire store of value market, while Strife only is going for the 300 trillion. And in the end, when nobody wants to hold a dollar bond, it all goes into Bitcoin anyway. But on the way, because of that pipeline that MSTR are the first ones in the world to have built from the $300 trillion bond market to Bitcoin, they will be buying a lot of Bitcoin. As that happens, then that is going to benefit MSTR shareholders. And that's why I and others, I don't have enough, not even close. I wish I had more. I'm doing what I can. But that's why MSTR shareholders will benefit a lot from that pipeline running through the engine, the distillery of MSTR into Bitcoin. Going to be great for Bitcoin, going to be great for MSTR shareholders. Beardy Day, couldn't agree more. So, Ponder Jeff, Ben Workman, Raekwon, Soleil, Tim, Kotzman, Marcus, Adrian, they know they have an open invitation here anytime there's anything. But I mean, they got the MSTR True North running hot. But they're welcome here anytime to discuss all of this. Of course, I'm gonna try and get back to, I've had traveling and there's just stuff going on in life that knocked me a bit off course on this the weekly Monday MSTR Monday shows. Hopefully that's looking better now. And I'm very happy to do ad hoc MSTR Mondays throughout the week if I land a good guest, someone to talk about something interesting, any viewpoint they want to share. I believe Larry Lepard actually is I think as I understood his text, he's gonna come on and we'll do one of these. We'll talk MSTR, we'll talk the big print and Plan Marcus. I mean, yeah, unfortunately you're not here anymore, but Bitcoin is the ultimate safe haven. It's obviously safer than any equity. It is the ultimate supreme pristine asset ever to exist in the world for so many reasons: uncensorable transactions, government and no one else can't stop you. If you want to buy a red car, you can buy a red car. Your bank can't prevent you from that, or whatever it may be. Also, the beauty of Bitcoin is people living in oppressed regimes, and I've lived in the Middle East. I've been to countries where this is relevant, where if you want to sell your assets, let's say the family owns a couple of properties, if you buy dollar bills and want to take it out, it is likely going to be taken in the airport at exit. The same with gold, they have metal detectors, but Bitcoin, you can carry any amount of money, of dollars, of Bitcoin just in your memory. Now, I haven't memorized my seat because I don't want to be in that situation. But yeah, anyways, you know what I mean. But I haven't, and I won't. I just don't want to know it. But you can leave an oppressed regime with your entire family worth in your memory. And then you could say, oh yeah, but what if something happens and like you forget one word and then it's all lost? I'm not saying to delete your seat somehow in the country you're leaving. You could have backups. You could have backups split up in 1, 2, 3, 4 different locations, all these things. And like, oh, I forgot these 4 words. You go back and you find out those 3 words or whatever it is. So Bitcoin is the supreme asset, but as I said earlier, not to underestimate, and that's why a lot of shareholders are buying, like a lot of people are buying MSTR stock. Bitcoin went up 2.5x last year, and MSTR went up 6.5x. ballpark last year, so 12-month period. Maybe it was mid-January. I made the calculation looking back 12 months. And when you run that difference over a period of time, if, as I said, for just 2 years, 2.5x squared gave you what, 5 or something, or 4 point something, I can't remember, while 6.5x squared, now you're at 42. So that difference, and then add another third year, then MSTR did more than 200x, while the Bitcoin 2.5x on 5 or 6 or whatever is still, it's like 15. So it's a massive difference. And that is what attracts people to MSTR. But it's absolutely a good idea for most people also to have something that is not in the equity market, but is a complete sovereign and pristine asset in cold storage, way out of your reach. So if anyone ever puts a gun to your head, you don't have, in case you had in a case where you haven't had a chance to shoot them first, that you don't have access to it. I think that's very important. And my good friend Plan Mark is still here. I remember when Anders used to say that you have to price everything in Bitcoin, not USD. I completely agree. But looking at this, USD plays a role in Bitcoin taking over USD. No more bear markets. Sure hope so. And those two stakes reminds me that Puppy and my good friend Puppy and my good friend Greg Sage, they both owe me on bets that we did back in 2020. They owe me on a really nice steak restaurant in that area where they live. Gourmet, delicious steak and unlimited drinks. I won both of those bets. The first one was with Greg Sage, that said at the time that Bitcoin would never go down 50% or more again before, I think we're talking about the end of 22, which it did. Puppy came on. That was back when Puppy and I did Toxic Happy Hour on YouTube. So they're there somewhere if you go back on the channel and look at the fall of 2020. Puppy was more bullish. He said, yeah, it's not even gonna go down 40% ever again. I can't remember if it was ever again or by the end of 2022, but it's all there documented. And then because 21 became this double topped bull market, disappointing bull market between the first and the second, one day we were down 40%. Puppy lost his bet and I can collect. And then I think the next day we're down another amount of dollars per Bitcoin, and therefore Bitcoin was down 50%. So I won that bet as well. But I haven't collected. I told them, guys, let me collect once Bitcoin is past $100,000, which it is now. Not right now, but it has been. But it has this problem that I gotta fly over to Florida, which is gonna cost me way more than a steak dinner would anyway. So I think I'll collect on those when I'm there anyway, whenever that is. All right. All right, so this is probably a highly likely correct point from Kevin. You've got some brain fog going on. Yes, I absolutely do. I haven't eaten since Saturday night, and I'm not doing it to say that I'm good at that or anything. I'm just doing it to reach autophagy, and my immune system cleans up my body and gets rid of destroyed cells and reduce the risk of cancer. That's really my main motivation. When you do your fast, take LNMT, which I don't know what it is. It adds sodium, potassium, magnesium to a bottle of water and prevents flu, cramps, etc. from fasting. You did 6 days of it, right? So what I do drink this mineral water in Costco, really good price, less than half of the regular supermarkets. It's delicious. That has some good stuff in it. And then on top of that, I add Celtic salt, which has a lot of great nutrients. Most nutritional experts say like Celtic salt is the way to go. So I put that in. I put the lemon slices, and then that gives electrolytes, and then black coffee, no milk, which I usually drink it with. All right. What else? Nacho hands, taco plebs. Let's go. Amen. Beef liver, yes, should be really good. Matured. Okay, this is where Plan Marcus bailed. I had to go. That's 40 minutes ago. Got to run. Got to stay toxic and spread the values of Bitcoin. Good luck with the fast, but thank you very much. I will break it tomorrow with a couple of avocados, I think. And then I got some carpaccio, was it the Italian dried ham, delicious, etc. Yes, eat salt. That is. Hey Dana, how are you? Yes, I got Celtic salt in my water here, and it's a great point, as RB says. Not your keys, not your coins. A stock like MSTR, it is a claim. I mean, you have ownership of the assets, and laws prevent management to say, "Oh, I'll take all the assets." So it's true. Not your keys, not your coins. That's why it's important to also have cold storage, spot Bitcoin as well. I agree with that, but the significant upside of owning a stock like MSTR or any leveraged Bitcoin equity is something that has made me allocate a little bit to it, because I also have bills to take care of and all of that. Crow Nation Strong. I don't know what that means, but I see John 3:16. That's got to be good because it's from the Bible. I'm sorry, I don't know what that what that verse says. And the no, he's valuing. Okay, I see what you're doing here, RB. Yeah, I talk shit on the dollar. Pardon my language. I just read what you said or what you wrote. Absolutely, the dollar is going to die. I think it sucks as money. Unfortunately, it's the medium of of exchange in US, and I'll tell you why it does make sense. It makes sense because you can't look at Bitcoin without and completely ignore the dollar. The dollar still exists. As long as it still exists, the price of Bitcoin in dollars, the price of MSTR in dollars, it all makes sense for understanding and playing it to your advantage, the hyperbitcoinization, until we're finally rid of the dollar. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, I'm not saying that MSTR is going to get 300 trillion. I'm saying they're targeting a $300 trillion bond market. They won't own the bond market. They'll never get to 50%. Saylor says 1%. I don't know. Maybe you can get 10. I don't know. I'm not saying they'll get all 300. I'm saying that they are targeting that. I think they have a superior product, which right now has close to no volume, very, very, very tiny size. What was it? I calculated early on. I think they have a 400,000th part of the global bond market. Yeah, some of that, 1%, couple of percent would be phenomenal. Torp Hodl, yes, the good old days when Puppy and I did Toxic Happy on YouTube. We started in the summer of 2020, and only a few episodes in, I remember we spoke about the news. There's this company, they converted everything on the balance sheet to from dollar to Bitcoin. This is so good. This is the way to go. And that was back then, I'm allowed to say it now, called MicroStrategy. This is MSTR on Mondays because they changed the name to Strategy. But Poppy famously, it was a meme, had a broken closet door behind him. And I guess the joke was that you don't spend money on that until Bitcoin reaches where we want to go. Yeah. Price everything in closet doors. Ernie over Bird. Torp, I don't even remember me and Poppy who was Ernie and who was Bird, but that we ran with that for a little while, I guess. We had to make thumbnails, and I haven't made thumbnails for this. I'm not there. I'm doing this for the first and foremost for the passion of Bitcoin, the passion of this financial revolution that Strategy, aka MSTR, is making happen. And yeah, people keep beating me up like switch on commercialization or capitalize, ads or whatever. And I'll do that. I'll get to it. I need to figure that out. It's a bad idea just to leave that on the table. But the main driver for me here is because I find it super fascinating, interesting, and I like to try and help educate people, not with the truth, but what my opinion is, which I'm trying to get as close to the truth as possible. Nothing is financial advice. It's all entertainment. And you're welcome, Anonymous and Minion. I am about to switch off here. If there's any questions, there is chat. Should be chat available in X as well. I see none coming through, actually. So sometimes there's some, I think, technical difficulties. So I'm only seeing chat from YouTube, and view numbers are significantly larger in general on X. Right now, there's 802 live viewers. Thank you very much, everyone, for oh, absolutely, Torab. I do. You don't want to feed them the hatters. Ignore hatters. Is that the hat? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, thank you for tuning in. Share it with someone if you find it useful. Like it, subscribe either on X, my account there, or on YouTube. Only happy to naturally have more viewers, and whatever I do, if it's helpful, that it does get out to more people, that's always fun. Let me just see also. This one, campnakamoto.com, with a discount code Anders10. It's going to be a big Bitcoin weekend island retreat on the East Coast, arranged by Jeff from Mass Adoption, a dear friend of mine, a wonderful human being. And so it's going to be, I think, 3 days, maybe 3 nights. So 2 full days on this island, October 10, 13. He's going to put together some MSTR panel content as well. He's trying to, therefore Tim is there, Tim Kotzman, who most people know. I'll be there. I'll be emceeing it more or less, I think, and definitely be part of the MSTR discussion, which I just love. Those tickets are selling. It's going to be only 100 people in total, including like Tim, Larry, James Lavish, Natalie Brunel, Mark Moss, Joe Consorti, Michelle Weekly. I think BJ is also coming, but more than that. So it's a really good opportunity to go do some fun events or just activities. So it'll be Bitcoin content. There's gonna be straight up just activities and fun things. That will be a good opportunity to get some of these like really interesting and smart people, like some of these speakers, to be able to get a chance to drink a coffee with them, or and have a chat a little bit more than when you go to a conference with 20,000 people where they just don't have time. So I think that will be a lot of fun. Yeah, I think ignore. Okay, what do we got here? Top Huddle, 100% hat is green screen. Green screen. All right. Load time preference for pearls. All right. I think that's about it. Yeah. Okay. Good question. When next pleb party? I'm gonna go to Vegas, but I set this one over. Everyone said I should do it to keep the momentum, and also just from the learnings of the 4 previous Bitcoin pleb parties, I have a really good idea, and I know exactly how to put it together, so it would be as kick-ass as possible and as affordable as possible. The 12 hours of all-inclusive alcohol and food would not happen again. I have great ideas for entertainment without forgetting that people just actually want to talk to each other and have a good time. I had experience with that. The play party I organized on the rooftop in Miami in 23. That was the second one. Sailor showed up. So maybe right now I'm super busy, Torup, Huddle, but maybe one by the end of the year somewhere, if that is relevant. And all of that being said, I think just thank you very much for watching, for listening, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your Monday or whenever you're watching this. Have a great week, and all the best to everyone. So see you on the next time, or next one, which likely will be next Monday. I'll see if I can get a guest one for that one. But this time, I just really wanted to hammer through the point of how Strife can really be a game changer. It's super attractive because it's the first time there's an MSTR product that targets all of the $300 trillion global bond market, and it's a pipeline built straight into Bitcoin, channeling funds into Bitcoin. I'm not saying all 300 trillion by any means are going to go into Bitcoin. That would be great. But that pipeline benefits MSTR because they build it, they have the product. They'll make the bond buyers happy, and the MSTR shareholders will experience, I think, very significant growth in Bitcoin per share as those trillions of dollars start passing through. Thank you, everyone. I think there's not much left to add. Thank you, Kathy. You guys have a great day and great week, and hope to see you in the next one. Be nice. Life is good. God is good. And